I'm Ryan Newman, and since I started with Indiana Donor Network and Driven to Save Lives, I found out that some people think that they can't be an organ donor. The truth is, anyone can sign up to be an organ donor.
Anyone?
Anyone?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyone can sign up to be an organ donor. So don't count yourself out because somebody's counting on you. Go to driventosavelives.org and sign up today.
But my heart's going to you, Ryan.
Love that shirt.
Good afternoon, good morning, whatever it is, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. It is a Sunday of racing action here on the National Racing Network, and we are proud to once again be bringing you the Spec Corvette Series presented by Nankang Tires. My voice sounds a whole lot better today than it did yesterday. My name is Chris Graham, hoping to be joined in the booth by James Watson. He was doing an iRacing event until like 4 in the morning, so we may not get to see James today, but really looking forward to today's show. We got to see about 12 and a half of the scheduled 25 minutes of racing action yesterday here from the World Center of Racing. Unfortunately, an incident on track ended the session early, but it does look like all drivers involved were okay. I'm not totally sure about the cars. It was none of the Spec Corvettes. That's the one piece of information that we can give to you. Looks like almost all of the Spec Corvettes will be taking to the Speedway here today at the World Center of Racing. We'll take a look here, and here's part of the reason that we are going early. Well, first, let's take a look. My graphic did update. That's no fun. There we go. Now we can take a look at the reason for our we'll say, very quick turnaround here today. Things are going to happen very, very quickly here today as well. And part of that is because of the weather. Hurricane developing off the western coast of Florida, kind of right in and around where the Panhandle meets the peninsula of Florida. Currently 84 degrees with 85% humidity. It feels like 98 degrees outside here in Daytona. Well, just wholly unpleasant is, I guess, the best way you could describe it. These drivers are absolutely baking inside these race cars. In fact, you can see Bruce Griffin here in the upper left-hand corner. Helmet's off, gloves are off, doing his best to stay cool here. But it is definitely going to be a hot one. The car that we will not see on the grid today is Ken Mantovani, your race winner from yesterday afternoon. And that's because the SARC point system counts your best 6 finishes. Ken Mantovani already has 6 wins. He can't do any better. He can't earn any more points than he's already got. So basically, Ken's going to take the day off here, load up, and get ready to head out of Florida before the weather starts to turn messy, or at least get back home before the weather starts to turn messy. But that means we are going to have a different race winner here today at Daytona. Starting grid set by the best lap time over the variety of sessions held this weekend. So starting on the pole today will be Elbert, Colorado's Robert Weston in car number 4. Lining up on the outside will be the 34 of Brian Curtis. The same front row that we saw yesterday afternoon. Row number 2 scheduled to be Ken Mantovani out of West Palm Beach, Florida, alongside of Marino Reyes out of Miami, Florida. The 04 will not be on the grid, so everybody else is going to slide up a position as they get out on the grid. You'll see when the cars pull out on the pit lane, there will be a marshal on the racetrack pointing left, right, left, right. So everybody's going to move up one spot. They will not move up the row. There will actually be a position change, or a line change, if you will, from inside to outside for the rest of the grid. Cecil Stevens lining up alongside of Bruce Griffin. Both of these Tampa, Florida drivers scheduled to start on row number 3. Row number 4 will have the 53 of Frank Reinhardt alongside of the 87 of Joey Stoddard. Ian Sullivan and Brian Boyd out of Coconut Creek, Florida, lining up on row number 5. Row number 6 will have James Davidson and Brian Rabeau. Again, a couple of Florida drivers here running at the World Center of Racing. Final row of the grid, we'll have Brooksville, Florida's Joel McGee in the number 66, alongside of Bradenton, Florida's Brandon Dennis in the 111. I got to find out if Brandon has taken that Spec Corvette over to the Freedom Factory. In fact, John Wynn, if you're listening, I hope you are. We need a show at the Freedom Factory. It's an oval, I know, but that would be absolutely wild to get the Spec Corvette series out running a show at the Freedom Factory. Really push these things to their absolute limit. Scheduled to be 14 cars on the starting grid here today, and we have a variety of race cars. In fact, let's do this one. Let's do the merge. Oh my goodness, 7 race cars is what we've got to look at here. We will start in your upper left-hand corner. This is going on board with Ian Sullivan. Ian going to be starting on the 5th row of the grid here this afternoon. Next car we're going to get a look at on board with will be Frank Reinhardt, piloting car number 53 out of Tampa, Florida. Frank giving us a little bit of a unique view. It's a little bit lower on the dash. Going to give you a little bit more of a sense of speed out of that race car, I think, over the course of this race. We'll bring everybody back up here again, and you can hear the engines. They do get a little bit loud, but man, it's such a fun look. Going on board now with Brian Rabeau. We'll be able to see Brian work from inside that car, and quite frankly, get a pretty neat look. In fact, you'll be able to see the footwork, which I think is pretty cool, because the speed at this place, yes, we talked about him going 170 miles an hour down the front and back straightaways. But working through the infield section of this race course is really, really technical. It'll be fun to get the foot cam view, if you will, or the footwork view of Brian Rabeau. Please page Paul Tracy to the broadcast booth. Joey Stoddard will be the next car we're going to go on board with here. The OrangeCountyPotties.com entry. Fantastic sponsor on this one. Nice logo there up on the dash, and a good look out the front of Joey Stoddard's machine. Joey, thank you very much for letting us hang out in your office here this afternoon. Then we come down to the first of our Sentinel units. These are the data acquisition units. We get a whole lot more information out of the cars of these drivers. And the first one we will go on board with is Cecil Stevens. Cecil in the upper right-hand corner. Upper left-hand corner, you'll be able to see out the back bumper, out the back window of that race car. Thank you very much, Cecil, for letting us hang out on board with you here. Another one that we had from yesterday is going to be Bruce Griffin's machine. Again, there's Bruce in the upper left-hand corner this time. Look out the back window in the upper right-hand corner. And one more car that we're going to have a look at. It will be a new camera setup for today. This one is Brian Boyd. Again, kind of a little bit lower mounted in the kind of up real tight against the windshield. Going to give you a great sense of speed down the back straightaway. And over the start-finish line at 168, 169 miles an hour. Nice speeds these guys are turning out here today. The race ahead of them has just gone checkered flag. Group number 4 will be coming off the racetrack. That means our guys, Group 5, heading out onto the Speedway here in just a moment. Let's go. Oh, there you go. You hear the engines firing. Have to say a huge thank you to all of the sponsors that help make these broadcasts happen, including, let's take a look here. Today's National Racing Network presentation of the Spec Corvette Series from Daytona is presented by G-Stream, race engineered, track proven, its aerodynamics redefined. Visit online at g-stream.com. Improved Racing is the official oil system partner of the Spec Corvette Series. You can find them online at improvedracing.com. Penske Racing shocks allow you to perform with confidence and be at your best from the start. Check out their website at PenskeShocks.com. Sparco is the official safety products partner of the Spec Corvette Series. From seats to suits and everything else in the world of motorsports safety, visit SparcoUSA.com. TPS Motorsports provides parts to upgrade America's favorite sports and muscle cars. Whether it's a bow tie, blue oval, or Mopar or no car, get your parts at tpsmotorsports.com. Track Spec Motorsports needs to be your first call when building or maintaining a Spec Corvette. See their extensive collection of parts over at trackspecmotorsports.com. Turn 1 offers a range of power steering products that are unmatched with the highest quality and reliability. Have confidence in your steering and get there at turn1steering.com. Willwood Brakes, power, control, precision. Get the best in brakes at willwood.com. Nankang Motorsport Tires have been producing excellence in tires for over 60 years and are the presenting partner of the Spec Corvette series. Learn about your next set of Nankangs at nankangmotorsport.com. Thank you all very much to all the sponsors. A lot of contingency awards going out, a lot of discounts offered to Spec Corvette series participants. Really makes what is already an affordable series even more affordable for these drivers. And as they get ready to roll out onto the racetrack, let's take a look at the rules of the road for the Spec Corvette series. These are 1997 to 2004 C5 Corvettes with limited modifications. They have a 3,200 pound minimum out of a stock LS6 or LS1 motor. 380 horsepower maximum, but there is also now a torque limit as well. 380 pound-feet of torque. Where they were finding, the reason that was implemented mid-season is that they were finding that the drivers were using torque numbers. Get the motor to 380 horse and then start tuning for torque. What you were getting was some cars that were just significantly faster out of the corners. Slower speed corners specifically. Here at Daytona, that's really important. Going into turn 1, out of turn 1, being able to accelerate through the S's, absolutely huge for these drivers. Same thing out of the International Horseshoe. Got to make a lot of power as you head up towards the kink. And perhaps the most important parts where this comes into play is out of turn number 7, where you turn, it's almost 180-degree hairpin onto the banking of turns 1 and 2 here of the Daytona International Speedway. You need to pull as much torque as you possibly can because you're down in the 50 to 60 mile an hour range and you got to get up to about 160. Big power out of the corners. That one is really important. Same thing out of the Le Mans chicane, the bus stop down the back straightaway. The more power you can put down, the faster you will be going at the start-finish line. Big deal for these drivers. We talked about the weather conditions. It's going to potentially be a mess, and one of the things we really don't want to see is the potential of weather, but these cars do have the Nankang street tires. They are a street-rated tire on these cars, so it's not a slick race tire. They do have the ability to run these cars in the wet. We take a look at the upcoming schedule for the Spec Corvette series. Coming up the end of the month, the next race will be out of the Northeast region. Coming up at Pit Race, August 24th and 25th. Miller Motorsports Park in Utah, or Utah Motorsports Park, September 5th through the 8th. That race weekend is NASA National Championship weekend. It is a double points weekend for the Spec Corvette series. And just announced this week, you do not need to have competed in a NASA event in order to register for the national championships if you are in a Spec Corvette. So any of these drivers from around the country, they can come out and compete at Utah Motorsports Park. We are anticipating a very big field of cars for that one. Hopefully the cell phone service is good, because quite frankly, I would love to get that show up on the air. Following that one, we have 3 races in the month of October. Roebling Road, October 12th and 13th. Willow Springs, October 18th and 19th. And maybe one we might have to get out to and do live on location. New Jersey Motorsports Park in Lakewood, New Jersey, down fairly close to Atlantic City, New Jersey, October 18th through the 20th. Really looking forward to these races coming up here. NJMP would be our home track here for the National Racing Network. We are based right outside of the city of brotherly love in Philadelphia. Taking a look, the skies are definitely darkening some here. Let's go on board with Let's take Brian Rabeau's camera here. You can see it is definitely getting dark, and not necessarily in a real pleasant way here, as the field is getting ready to head out onto the grid. Well, they're on the grid. They're getting ready to head out onto the racetrack, and we are going to fire things up here for the Daytona Double. Seeing some comments coming in here as well. Thank you very much for the commenters. You guys make this one fun. Sebastian Kinder, our buddy Sam, what's up, dude? Florida weather is going to Florida weather again, huh? Yes, it is. Super Snallygaster, Spec Corvette at Daytona is going to be excellent. Yes, that is very much true. Seb also saying, good afternoon from France. I guess James Watson couldn't wake up for this one. No, he surrendered to the alarm clock, if you will, Seb. I love you, buddy. Field's getting ready to roll off. We will get ready to, we got to actually prep the timing towers and the graphics and all that for you guys here. Unfortunately, we don't have a whole lot of access to data feeds and those sorts of things. So once we know that we've got the cars all ready to go here, then we'll... There we go. That looks good. We can throw the timing tower up on the screen for you now. Let's head on board with Cecil Stevens as he's going to make that hard left-hand turn out onto the pit lane. Oh, that Corvette motor sounds so good. But this is one of the things that you will see is that we'll actually see the cars. You'll kind of start to lose them a little bit, depending on where they are kind of on the racetrack. Cell phone service is not always the most reliable out here down at Daytona. But you'll see as they come down here, Marshall standing out on the grid will actually be waving the flag left, right, so the drivers know which side of the grid they will head off to. There you see that one down there. Big thank you to all the marshals and everybody here working this race, these race weekends. Truly, these gentlemen races do not happen without the teams of marshals and volunteers for the SCCA that make these happen. Thank you all very, very much. We do appreciate you spending your weekends out at the racetrack. Cut on over to Cecil Stevens as he makes his way through the International Horseshoe for the first time. Big power lay down here. First time they come through under green. Yesterday's race, they were too wide, basically all the way up here to the kink. You can go too wide through the kink, but I don't know that it's completely advisable. A little bit of a short run down to the West Horseshoe, excuse me. See Cecil giving that car the back and forth, left and right, trying to put some heat in those Nankang tires. And then this is that other spot where the torque becomes so important. You're slowed down to about 60 mile an hour to go through this corner, and then you are screaming up onto the high banks of the Daytona International Speedway. Even this doesn't do it justice. If you haven't been to Daytona, standing in the infield, looking at the racetrack, you're looking at a wall of asphalt. It is so incredibly high. And yes, these are purpose-built race cars, but at one time in their lives, they were street-going Corvettes. Flip over here and pick up Ian Sullivan. Back over to Cecil Stevens, though, here, as the field will get doubled up as they exit the Le Mans chicane. They will get doubled up, and the anticipation starts to build. The heart rate starts to climb inside the race car. It is such a long run from the exit of turn 4 down to the start-finish line. On board now with Brian Boyd. Gorgeous look at this field of Spec Corvettes. Oh my goodness, this is going to be fantastic. Crawling out of turn 4, waiting for the green to go in the air. There it is, green flags in the air. We're underway here at Daytona. Oh, 2x2 down towards turn 1. Who's going to be the first to blink? Oh, big slide, maybe a little bit of contact right off the front row. Still side by side between Curtis and Reyes. Reyes trying to make the outside work into the International Horseshoe. It'll be Weston grabbing the early lead. Reyes may try the crossover. No way there to get down as Curtis blocks the line off. On board with Brian Boyd as they're going to go side by side just back behind. A little bit deeper in the field. That's Stoddard, Boyd, and Sullivan all battling through the West Chicane. 30 minutes of racing is what's on the cards for today. Boyd having to contend with Stoddard. Watch that speedometer climb. Oh my goodness. On board with Cecil Stevens, up over 157 miles an hour down the backstretch. These guys are flying around this place. There's where that torque comes in. Already up over 100 before they even get to NASCAR 3. .163 at the line. Oh my goodness. Oh, but he's gonna slide wide. Cecil Stevens way deep into turn number 1. Made up a ton of ground, but he's gonna lose it all on corner exit. Top 3, Weston, Curtis, Reyes starting to pull away from Stevens ever so slightly. Pick up the onboard now with Frank Reinhardt. There's Cecil Stevens, the yellow car, just up 2 cars ahead of where Reinhardt runs. Out of turn number 3, that horseshoe. Ooh, baby, those Nankang tires begging for mercy. We are only 1/10 of the way through this race, too. Oh, big slide there out of Stevens as well. And they are already catching lap traffic. I believe this may be a Porsche, based on what we saw yesterday. Oh, buddy, Joey Stoddard, cut to the onboard. Side by side through NASCAR 1 and 2. This is the audio of Cecil Stevens, by the way. We don't have the audio from Joey Stoddard's car. Ian Sullivan, Frank Reinhardt dueling. Go on board now with Ian Sullivan. Quiet hands through the Le Mans chicane. That is so important. The draft plays a huge role. We go back on board with Stoddard. Sullivan starting to catch up to Frank Reinhardt. Weston leads Curtis by half a second. Back on board now with Sullivan. Yeah, that's a Porsche. It's an old 911 that they're starting to catch. Terrible spot for that to happen into turn number 1. Everybody way hard on the brakes. Oh, back over to Stoddard's cameras. They're 2 wide, almost 3 wide, exiting turn number 1. Everybody able to clear. Well, maybe a little bit of smoke coming out the back of the 53 of Frank Reinhardt. Not sure if that was a brake lockup or not, but now coming up on one of the old prototypes. Fantastic battle deep in the field. Great battle at the front of the field, too. Curtis only a half second back of Robert Weston. It's 3 more seconds back to Marino Reyes in third. And then Cecil Stevens about a second back. In fact, even a little bit more than that. Oh, this is tight through 7. Oh. Jazz hands Joey Stoddard. You see these guys starting to pull away ever so slightly. Pick up Ian Sullivan. He's going to get the run out of 2 and down the back straightaway. Well, the camera died. So hopefully that one comes back. Oh, yes, it does. There it is. Sullivan only about a car length and a half. Oh, ton of time made up there in the chicane. If he can keep that momentum up, the draft will come into play in a big way for him here. Through 3 and 4, 6.5 minutes deep. Reinhardt able to pull away ever so slightly. Weston has opened up the gap to about 3/4 of a second at the front of the field. Reyes still sitting about 3.8 seconds back of Curtis in the battle for the 3rd position. And Bruce Griffin obviously having a little bit of an issue as he lost a ton of time to Reyes, or excuse me, Cecil Stevens losing a bunch of time. Reinhardt starting to catch up to Bruce Griffin. That'll be the battle for the 5th position. In fact, let's take the cut here and go over on board with Frank Reinhardt. There's Reinhardt. There's Ian Sullivan. They're nose to tail. Ooh, Sullivan shows a little peek. Hi, I'm here. My name's Ian. I'll be in your right side view mirror. It's the best way to make a pass in this series. Look at that. Dives a little bit deeper into the corner. Now Reinhardt's going to see him on the left side. Where is he? Well, maybe a little bit of frustration there out of Ian Sullivan. Kind of pumping the fist through 1 and 2. Kind of frustrated that just the power's not there to catch him through those high bank corners. Here's a great view out of Joey Stoddard's car. You can see just how banked that corner is. We go back to the view on board with Ian Sullivan. It looks kind of steep, but nose to tail, you're watching the car in front, and then you watch it from that third-person perspective, and you go, oh, my God. All the way down through the gears into turn number 1. Runs a little bit of almost like a slider line there through 1. Just let the car slide way out to the outside. Snooper Sally Gaster saying, HPDE is definitely a bucket list item. Yes. Yes, that's all I can say to that one. Back on board with Sullivan through the kink and up towards the West Horseshoe. Oh, back on board with Stoddard. Oh, hey, we're getting the audio from Joey Stoddard's car now. That's awesome. Oh, no, we're still on Frank Reinhardt's audio. Never mind. Oh, nose to tail through 6 and 7. Stoddard may get a run as Sullivan has to slide wide. He's going to make the pass on the outside. Power move by Ian Sullivan around Frank Reinhardt. Pick up the onboard now with Reinhardt. Does he try something down into the LaMont chicane? He won't be able to. Stoddard having to look outside. He'll get the pass completed. Wonder if there's not some problems there on board with Frank Reinhardt. That car may be down on power. You can hear it. That is a sickly sounding engine. Just not getting all the way up through the rev range. Just past the 10-minute mark. Robert Weston holding a 4.2-second lead over Brian Curtis. In fact, everybody inside the top 5 now separated by 4 or more seconds. The best battle is going to be this one for 6 between Sullivan and Stoddard. Go back on board here with Joey Stoddard. Reinhardt starting to catch back up ever so slightly, but that may be the lap traffic. And we say lap traffic, it's more just other clash traffic. As Sullivan gonna have to contend with one of the Porsches. A little bit of a breather throttle there from Stoddard as well. Oh, where's the Porsche going? Gonna pull away from the Corvette on corner entry, but not gonna get anything done. One of the cars you're going to see coming up here around Joey Stoddard is a Corvette, but I believe it's either a GT1 or a GT2 Corvette. It's got the big wing on the back of it. Oh, is Reinhardt losing a position to Brian Boyd as well? Weston putting lap number 6 on the board. 2:04.210. Absolutely flying. Oh, where's this guy going in front of Joey Stoddard? Good Lord, man. Pick a line, sir. Oh, it looks like our GT1 Corvette might be heading for pit lane here as well. Frank Reinhardt losing a position to James Davidson that time over the start-finish line. No onboard, unfortunately, with Davidson as he's making his way up through the field. Approaching the halfway point of today's race. Oh, baby, Ian Sullivan. How about this? Hold up here. He's caught up to the 125 of Bruce Griffin. This is now the battle for the 5th position. Griffin looks like he has a really ill-handling race car. Go on board with Bruce Griffin as you get a look at Stoddard. You can see out the back. Well, here we go. Let's go back on board here with Ian while we wait for Bruce's camera to come back up. Sullivan really making up a ton of ground on Bruce Griffin. Not able to make the move just yet. Oh! Wow, Chaz hands for me and Sullivan there. Good Lord. These guys are getting after it. This pair of cars, Griffin, Sullivan, actually in third, Joey Stoddard, running about 7 seconds back of Cecil Stevens here, as we'll go back on board now with Ian Sullivan. Unfortunately, the camera's deciding they don't want to behave real well for us here. Sullivan trying to get caught back up. To Bruce Griffin. I'll tell you what, these guys are making up some time here on Cecil Stevens. Oh, as Bruce Griffin goes around! Griffin spins, exiting turn 6! You saw that one start to develop from the camera of Ian Sullivan. Bruce Griffin is just going to have to sit and wait it out. Oh, looks like we have another of the Corvettes pulling off here as well. That was James Davidson hooking the UB. There's another of the GT class Corvettes. They are not running with our Spec Corvette guys today. Oh, what a tough break for Bruce Griffin. Spins out of turn number 7. Trying to get back up onto the racetrack. Let's go on board now with Ian Sullivan. He's got nobody around him. And actually, as he's coming around, let's go on board for a lap with Cecil Stevens. Over 160 miles an hour as they cross the start-finish line. Hard on the brakes, down through the gears, down to about 55 or so mile an hour through turn 2. Run up the S's towards the International Horseshoe. Again, you're going to be back up over 100 mile an hour before you're hard on the brakes again. That corner feels like it takes forever to get through before you really get the power down. Back up quickly again, over 100 miles an hour through the kink. Little breathe of the throttle, set the car, drift to the outside, cross back over, set yourself up for the West Horseshoe. Down into the 40 mile an hour range. Huge variations in speed here at Daytona. Spec Corvette's normally one of the fastest classes on the racetrack. Here at the SCCA weekends, though, they get grouped in. They're kind of the tail end of the faster groups. So they're running. There's GT1, GT2, GT3, GTA, GTX, ITO cars all on the racetrack with these guys, plus the SPO and WSC class. Lots of speed variation here around the racetrack. As Cecil Stevens going to come around to complete the onboard lap. And you just watch that speedometer climb. Man, that has to be such a rush. 160 over the start-finish line. My goodness. Crazy how fast these guys get going. Oh, as it looks like Brian Rabeau is out of the race. Rabeau sitting back at his garage area. Didn't see what happened to Brian Rabeau, but unfortunately that car now parked on back in the paddock. And at this point, the only real battle we have on the racetrack right now. Whew. My goodness, the closing speeds are wild in these things. We joke about it doing some of the iRacing stuff, but my God. Let's go on board here with Bruce Griffin. Just up ahead should be, well, I thought it was going to be the 53 of Frank Reinhardt, but Reinhardt having the spin last time and getting off the racetrack. Tough break for Brian Rabeau, seeing him shut his camera down. Brian, thank you much. We appreciate you letting us hang out in the office here with you. Let's see. Let's go on board now with Brian Boyd. Man, it seems like we are just... Cameras are dropping like flies here. We'll pick up Joey Stoddard now. And again, Joey, we do not have onboard audio for, but looking at the timing and scoring screens, James Davidson, Brian Rabeau, both on pit lane or in the paddock. Robert Weston leading by 13 seconds over Brian Curtis as we are at the 22.5-minute mark. Going to be another 4.8 seconds back to Marino Reyes as we'll cut the onboard to Ian Sullivan's machine. Cecil Stevens running in the 4th position. Ian Sullivan runs 5th. Stevens 13 seconds back of Reyes. Sullivan 6 seconds back of Stevens. Brian Boyd running in the 7th position, 9 seconds back of Stoddard. Bruce Griffin 1.3 seconds back of Brian Boyd. Frank Reinhardt 3 seconds behind Griffin. Joel McGee has not crossed the line yet to complete lap number 10. There he does now. Almost 60 seconds back of Frank Reinhardt. Wow. For the NASCAR stock cars coming zipping past on the outside. Let's see, here's Bruce Griffin. He is chasing down Brian Boyd. This is the battle for the 7th position. Ooh, a little bit of a lockup out of Boyd. Pull down the timing tower here quickly so you can see Bruce Griffin charging from behind. Back on board now with Bruce Griffin. Shows the peak, inside down into one. Oh, as Boyd runs wide! Boyd runs wide through turn 1. Griffin may have a shot. Just no opportunity to take the shot there. Wide through the international horseshoe as well goes Brian Boyd. Oh, but there you can see Bruce Griffin. He had the peak out of the horseshoe. They go back single file through the cake, now down towards the west hairpin. Back on board with Bruce Griffin on the chase. Love getting to watch the hands of these drivers. You can see in the upper left-hand corner. Inside of 5 minutes remaining here at the World Center of Racing. Boyd going to make the pass on the Porsche. Bruce Griffin able to as well. Takes a little bit shallower line into the Le Mans hairpin. Le Mans chicane, excuse me. Wow, Boyd just makes up so much time through that chicane. Brian Boyd going to have a faster class car moving inside. Oh, wow, he was really twitchy on the brakes, too. Those stock cars don't want to slow down either. Allowed Bruce Griffin to catch up just a little bit. As Robert Weston has now stretched the lead out over 18 seconds over Brian Curtis. This is the only other battle within 4.5 seconds. Reyes, 4.385 back at Curtis in the fight for the second position. Go back on board now with Bruce Griffin in the run down towards 7. Griffin gonna have the peak. Boyd backs off. Just the slightest blip of the throttle there from Brian Boyd. Allows Bruce Griffin to safely make that pass. Gentlemanly driving by Brian Boyd. We'll go back on board here with Bruce Griffin, follow him through. Oh, but he's a little bit wide. And Boyd comes back past. Brian Boyd takes the position back through the Le Mans chicane. These drivers running about 2-minute laps, and there's 28 minutes and 30 seconds complete. I think the next time by for the overall leader may be the white flag. Oh, a lot of smoke out of the back of Boyd's car that time. Oh, and Boyd's way wide. Boyd is off the pace. Just overcooked it into turn number 1. Boyd and Griffin putting on a show here at Daytona. Pushing these cars to their absolute limits. Boyd, little Luke Bryan kicked the dust up. out of West Bend. Oh, he carried so much speed out of that corner. Oh my goodness. Griffin able to pull away ever so slightly. And how about it? I think Cecil Stevens has been caught by Ian Sullivan. He has. This is the battle for the 4th position. On board with Ian Sullivan, battling Cecil Stevens for position number 4. This battle smoking at the line. 420 separating these cars. Last time by the start-finish line, Sullivan may have the faster car out of the International Horseshoe. He's got to back off a little bit. Breeze the throttle ever so slightly, allows Stevens to open the gap up. And this is it. There you just saw on the graphics tower. Checkered flag is out. Final lap for Spec Corvette here at Daytona. Sullivan with about 2.5 miles left to go as they make their way out onto NASCAR 1 and 2. 2 big drafting zones. 1 huge braking zone left for Ian Sullivan. Will he be able to get the job done? Does he know that the checkered flag has come out? Oh, he has to breathe the throttle again. Stevens, little bit of a brake test almost down the backstretch. Sullivan makes up the ground through the chicane. Final time through NASCAR 3 and 4. Sullivan gonna look to the outside. Stevens slides up the racing surface. Nowhere for Sullivan to go. Oh, they may catch this lap car. They will. On board with Cecil Stevens, there's nowhere for Ian Sullivan to go. Checkered flag is out. Race over here at Daytona. Robert Weston claims the victory. 15 laps in the books and a dominant 25-second victory over Brian Curtis. Marino Reyes will come home in the 3rd position, completing your podium. Cecil Stevens and Ian Sullivan round out the top 5. 6 through 10 going to be Joey Stoddard, Bruce Griffin, Brian Boyd, Frank Reinhart, and Joel McGee. James Davidson, Brian Rabeau finishing out of this race after completing 9 and 8 laps respectively. And Ken Mantovani back in the 13th position. He was a did not start here this afternoon. Oh my goodness, what a show from the Spec Corvette guys here at Daytona. Oh, catch your breath. Yeah, Ian Sullivan giving the fist pump. Absolutely, brother. What a great show. He's jacked up. You love to see that, man. Absolutely awesome stuff. Now we've got to do the big sponsor thank yous and plugs and everything else one more time here before we wrap things up and get out of here. Today's National Racing Network presentation of the Spec Corvette Series from Daytona International Speedway is presented by G-Stream. Race engineered, track proven. It's aerodynamics redefined. Visit them online at g-stream.com. Improved Racing is the official oil system partner of the Spec Corvette Series. You can find them online at improvedracing.com. Penske Racing Shocks allow you to perform with confidence and be at your best from the start. Check out their website at PenskeShocks.com. Sparco is the official safety products partner of the Spec Corvette series. From seats to suits and everything else in the world of motorsports safety, visit SparcoUSA.com. TPS Motorsports provides parts to upgrade America's favorite sports and muscle cars. Whether it's a bow tie, blue oval, or Mopar or no car, get your parts at TPSMotorsports.com. Track Spec Motorsports needs to be your first call when building or maintaining a Spec Corvette. See their extensive collections and get all the information on the Spec Corvette series over at TrackSpecMotorsports.com. Turn 1 offers a range of power steering products that are unmatched with the highest quality and reliability. Have confidence in your steering and get there at Turn1Steering.com. Willwood Brakes. Power, control, precision. Get the best in brakes at Willwood.com. Nankang Motorsport Tires have been producing excellence in tires for over 60 years and are the presenting partner of the Spec Corvette series. Learn about your next set of Nankangs at NankangMotorsport.com. Fantastic weekend of racing here at Daytona. Oh my goodness, what a show. So we'll go on board here. Let's pick up Brian Boyd as he makes his way through the garage area, or through the paddock, I should use the appropriate road racing term. Great show this afternoon. Super Snallygaster checking in saying, great race, gentlemen. Yes, it was. That was a ton of fun getting to call that one. Thank you guys so much. John Wynn, Cecil Stevens, everybody who helps get us on the air for these. Love it. You can hear these guys cheering as they get ready to hop out of the race cars. But with that, time for us to get the heck on out of here. For everybody here at the National Racing Network that makes these shows possible, helps us get on the air. My name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us, and we will talk to you all soon. Have a great night and a great rest of your weekend, everybody.